FYI, Felger is right.
Oh, so that's why you like the tweet.
Huh? No, I didn't even. I'm just reading it. I forgot about that part. FYI, Felger is right. Quick turnarounds happen all the time. Since 1990, a streak of 35 consecutive seasons. You have to admit, this is an incredible stat.
It is. It's amazing.
35 consecutive seasons from 1990 through last year, 2024. At least 4 teams that missed the playoffs the previous year qualified for the playoffs in that season. So again, 35 straight years, there have been 4 new playoff teams who make the playoffs in this given season. Okay, and I've used that as a backdrop to drive home something I've just, harped on probably too much about, one-season turnarounds and why you can expect it from the Patriots and all of that. But we played the game, said, okay, every year there's 4 teams. Who are going to be those 4 teams this year? And we asked to play the game. So I ask you. And this can open up sort of a league discussion to do a little bit more broad, talking about the league and who we like and who we don't like and all that stuff. So, Mazz, I'm going to ask you and Murray and the audience, 617-779-0985, to pick the 4 teams. Mazz, what 4 teams will make the playoffs this year that missed it last year?
Okay, I am going to go with the San Francisco 49ers, who I think underachieved. There's a lot of talent on that team. So I'm going San Francisco. I'm going Dallas because I think Washington is probably going to come back to earth just a little bit. That team overachieved last year. The Cowboy, obviously the injury to Dak Prescott as well. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys. I am also going to go with the Bengals. And you'll notice a familiar theme here with the first 3 teams I'm picking. First of all, they all generally have pretty good quarterbacks. They have good rosters. Some of them are teams that had odd circumstances last year that derailed them, but they're generally some of the better franchises in the league, at least now since Joe Burrow has joined the Bengals. So again, San Francisco, Dallas, Cincinnati, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going Jacksonville, and I'll tell you why.
Boo.
That division sucks.
It sure does.
Holy crap, does that division suck. So, again, we're talking about Houston. We're talking Indianapolis. Who am I leaving out? There's someone else in
Tennessee.
Tennessee, who obviously had the number 1 pick. So the point is the division's wide open. Somebody has to win that division.
That's a theme with a couple of my teams, yeah.
Somebody has to win it, and I'm going with the Jaguars.
Okay. Murray?
I am going Bengals because Joe Burrow is going to end up the NFL MVP, of which you could make an argument he could have won last year. Their defense is still going to be atrocious, but they'll be a tick better. That'll help them improve to 10 wins, enough to squeak in as a wild card team. Raiders, call me a sucker, but I am buying in on a rejuvenated Pete Carroll, his enthusiasm, his expectations for this team. I think the foursome of Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, who I don't love but solid.
Say it.
Max Crosby.
Say it.
Brock Bowers.
No.
I mean, Tom Brady, I guess, too.
Tom Brady.
I'm talking about on the field. I mean, I don't know how much Brady influence is really going to be involved in this team, but
watch.
Look, I think that's a good foursome. That's enough. They're going to be relentless. They're going to be better coached. They'll be the final wild card team in the AFC, and I think what is the best division in football. Falcons, because someone has to win the NFC South. I think the Baker Mayfield bubble is going to burst in Tampa now that he's lost his offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen, now the new head coach of the Jags. Seahawks, because someone has to win the NFC West. They had 10 wins last year, solid defense. Yes, I have doubts about Sam Darnold on this team. And whether or not he can repeat what he did last year, but this is more about the rest of the division. Matt Stafford's back is a disaster. Garoppolo's a slub who shouldn't even be in the league anymore as his backup. The Rams' secondary is garbage. Cardinals, they're the Cardinals, and I've waved the white flag on Kyler Murray. He stinks. And the window's closed on the 49ers, and it's time for Kyle Shanahan to go away. Those are my 4 teams.
Okay. So what both of you did is kind of outside of the spirit of what I think that stat and that history implies.
I understand what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Tell us why we're wrong.
Well, no. I mean, you're not wrong at all. But every year, someone who sucks is suddenly good. In the case, we all have the Bengals. Okay? I think they were 9-8 last year.
They were, yeah.
Obviously have one of the premier quarterbacks in the league. We're a Super Bowl team and a deep playoff team. They just had an off year.
Sure.
And so
you're talking about more like breakout teams.
No, I think you're right to pick the Bengals. I picked the Bengals.
Well, the Raiders were garbage.
The Raiders, that's more along the lines, Murray. That's right. Okay? And I think the game is, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just, because I've got a couple of those teams too. Like I think that the Bengals and the Niners, I know Murray's done with them, but those are kind of those teams. Those teams, the Niners, have been good for 7 years.
Right, exactly.
And they just had an off year. So they still have a lot of talent, and they still have a lot of things going for them that you would expect them to bounce back. And that happens a lot. But what also happens a lot is that someone who just sucks all of a sudden makes the playoffs the next year. And here's a second item from that Volan tweet that I think is just amazing. Again, the tweet begins, FYI, Felger is right. Well, I'm sorry. Quick turnarounds happen all the time. In 26 of the past 29 seasons, Mazz, 26 of the past 29, at least one team has made the playoffs the season after finishing last or tied for last. Okay? So that, in addition to the teams like the Bengals and the Niners and the Cowboys are on that list, good teams that just had an off year, there's one suckbag, at least one suckbag in most years that comes up and makes the playoffs after, picking basically first or second the year before. If I asked you that, I could ask you this before the season, or before the show, but
Okay.
I'm going to ask you now.
Tied for last.
Okay, so should I be, let's see, draft order, stand by.
I can give it to you right now.
Okay, what is it?
The 3 worst records in the league last year, they were all the same, 3-14. So they were all tied for last. Cleveland, Tennessee, the Giants.
Cleveland, Tennessee, and the Giants were all 3-14.
Correct.
Okay, so I think the stat here was a team that made the playoffs after finishing last or tied for last. Okay.
Oh, is that in the division, though, or is that?
I think that's an NFL stat.
Okay.
I think that's an NFL stat. Okay, try this one. In 6 consecutive seasons, and in 21 of the past 23, this is actually the one I meant to mention. I'm sorry.
No problem.
In 6 consecutive seasons and in 21 of the past 23, a team that chose in the top 5 has qualified for the postseason.
Okay.
That's the one that I meant to mention.
Okay,
So,
got it.
so that's not just bottom of your division. That's bottom of the league. Okay? So,
Tennessee, Jacksonville, the Giants, the Patriots, and the Browns.
thank you. That's what I want. Of those teams, again, you said the top 5. Say it one more time.
Tennessee, Jacksonville, the Giants, the Patriots, and the Browns.
You can only pick one of those teams. One of those teams,
Jacksonville.
according to this stat,
Giants.
is going to emerge and make the playoffs.
Giants.
I'm going Jacksonville.
Why?
Because they get a horrible division, and they should be respectable. They've picked some good players over the last few years. This year, they obviously got Travis Hunter. But beyond that, you add it all up, there is talent on that roster. Jacksonville should be better than they are. They have a bad division. The quarterback is not god-awful. I don't know if he's great, but you put a decent team around him, they should be able to win some games. So I'm going to stick with Jacksonville. But if you ask me to put them in order, I would tell you that Giants or Patriots would be second. It's close.
Giants, because they should have improved quarterback play. I still like that coach as one of the better offensive minds in the league, but more importantly, their pass rush is going to be relentless. And now that they've added Abdul Carter, they had a good pass rush already last year with guys like Lawrence. I know it's a tough division, but I am with Mazz. As much as I like Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, they're going to come down a tick, so someone's going to improve in that division. I could see the Giants squeaking in.
Tennessee and Cleveland, I give no
please.
chance.
Yeah, me either.
No chance.
And you know what? Every now and then that team actually pops.
Well,
So-
right. If Cam Ward's good, then it all changes.
You look at the rosters of these teams. Like, these are legit bad teams.
Absolutely.
This wasn't like, the Niners having an injury and all of a sudden going from 13 wins to 4. This is, no. These are, Jacksonville might be a little out of that realm, but between Tennessee, the Patriots, the Giants, and the Browns, that's some suck.
Yeah, that's bad. Those are bad teams.
Based on history, one of these 5 teams is going to make the playoffs. One of them. And so I just, I've said this ad nauseum. The Pats could be one of those teams. They're favored in 11 games.
So then I think you got to look at what teams have actual playmakers on them, on those suck teams. So that's like the Giants. Malik Neighbors looks like a stud on that side of the ball. And then defensively, they've added Carter, Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns. Like, there's guys that can be game wreckers. With Cleveland, you have, what's his face, the pass rusher?
Yeah, Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett. Their secondary's kind of okay. I mean, what do the Patriots have? Maybe the quarterback? You hope?
No, they don't have the roster.
Christian Gonzalez?
You would never look at their roster and say, "Ugh." But again, we could go back in history. And it's always it's tricky because in hindsight, you would look back and say, yeah, they went from last to first, but they got this guy, that guy, this guy, that guy. You know, they were set up to do it. Even though if I asked you before the season about that team, you'd say 3 wins. So that's not the game that you would play. The idea is, and if the Patriots were that team, we're going to look back and say, well, it turns out, and I'm just going to, pull a couple of things out, that Demario Douglas was in his 3rd year and he popped. And but guys like Demario Douglas and Kayshon Boutte were in their 2nd, 3rd seasons, and they just emerged into the players we didn't know they were going to be, but, there it was. And, you would say that across the board. Turns out that actually Michael Wenu is a good offensive lineman, and he just had an off year, and he bounced back in year 2, and Moses held it down, and we didn't see it at the time, but it was actually there. And that's what you can do with all these teams. I don't know why it's so unreasonable to think that the Pats are going to be that team.
It's not that unreasonable. Again, you're hearing that a lot from listeners and, emailers. But the fact of the matter is that if things break right for them, I could totally see it happening. I said to you yesterday in the email, I think the key guy to the whole thing is Campbell. He was the number 4 pick in the draft. So there is every chance he'll be okay. Like, we didn't like what we saw in camp. It's early, but young players develop at their own rate. Some of them develop very quickly.
You think he's the most important guy on the team?
I do. I think that if Will Campbell becomes a good, and I say good player, if he becomes a functional NFL player, something in the range of average for his position, just in the range, their offensive line completely changes. I think it completely changes. And I'm not telling you I like Bradbury or that left guard is a guarantee. I'm just telling you, give me a left tackle and a right tackle, and I have a right guard who's a veteran, they'll figure it out. If the left tackle can play, the rest of it will be good enough. But, so that's a huge variable for me. And so as much as we joke about the short arms, which are real, and everything else, I would tell you that he does have talent. He was the number 4 pick. If he's pretty good or he's respectable, they'll be a lot better than we think.